fractions to decimals using number chips. This is the basketball version, and this is a digital lesson that helps students convert fractions to decimals. So the lesson starts pretty easy. They're going to be moving these number chips into place, and we're just looking for what numbers we multiply by each of these to get 100. So this walks them into the next step, which is to convert a fraction to an equivalent fraction with 100 in the denominator. So here we multiply 50 times 2, 25 times 4, and so on. The next slide, they are going to be converting these fractions to equivalent fractions. And every slide has every number the students need. So that if they get to the end of a slide and the numbers aren't working, they know they've made an error somewhere and they need to go back and check. So in that way, it's self-checking. So here they know they have to multiply 50 times 2. So that means they also have to multiply 9 times 2 to get an equivalent fraction. And so they end up with 18 hundredths. Here we know we have to multiply 25 times 4, which means we have to also multiply the numerator by 4, and that gives us 20 hundredths, and so on. Now the next slide is a review of place value. So students are going to be moving these numbers into the correct place around the decimal point. So the instructions are down here. It says place your 4 in the ones place. So they're going to move the 4 here. 1 in the tenths place. 8 in the hundreds place, and so on. And they should be able to place every number correctly. Now the next slide has one method for changing a fraction with 100 in the denominator to a decimal. So if they have 100 in the denominator, they look at their numerator. The number that's in the ones place is going to go in the hundredths place of the decimal. So the 9 will go here where the arrow is pointing. And that makes it easy to place the other numbers. So it's 49 hundredths. We know the 4 has to go to the left of the 9, and then this number is going to be a 0. Here we have 13 hundredths. That number that's in the 1 place in the numerator is going to go in the hundredths place. That means the 1 will go to the left of the 3, and this number will be a 0. When we get down to the last one here, 180 hundredths. The 0 will go in the hundredths place, and that means when we place the 8 in the 1 in order, we get 1 and 80 hundredths. So the next slide, students are just going to be converting these fractions to decimals. So here 55 hundredths and 82 hundredths, those are pretty simple. When they get to the next slide, they have one with a single digit in the numerator, and they need to know that that is going to go in the hundredths place. So the very common error students make is to place that 5 in the tenths place. But this is 5 hundredths. And then they get a couple more here. These, again, are numbers where the numerator is larger than the denominator. So as long as they place the 1 correctly in the hundredths place, they should be able to place the other numbers. Now here they're going to change these fractions to equivalent fractions and then to a decimal. So 1/2, we know we have to multiply times 50 to get 100. So we're going to place the 100. We're going to multiply the numerator times 50, and we get 50 hundredths, which we can now change to a decimal, 50 hundredths. Three-fourths, we know we have to multiply times 25 to get 100. So that gives us 75 hundredths, and then they can go ahead and change that to a decimal. They've got a few more to change here. Again, what do they multiply times 5 to get 100? So 100 will be placed here and here. And then go ahead and convert to a decimal. They got a few more to do. Now, sometimes they can't directly convert to an equivalent fraction with 100 in the denominator. They may have to simplify their fraction first. So in this case, if they simplify 6/40ths by dividing by 2, they get 3/20ths. Now they can convert it to an equivalent fraction with 100 in the denominator by multiplying by 5. And they get 1500ths, which they can then convert to a decimal. Same thing here, they have to simplify 3/15ths. Now, they can't always change a fraction to an equivalent fraction with 100 in the denominator. In this case, if they simplify, they're going to get 1/8. And since they can't convert it, they're going to have to use long division. So 1 divided by 8. And here they have all the numbers they need to do that division. Here again, we simplify first. We get 3/8. 3 divided by 8. And then the final slide, they're going to have a repeating decimal, so they're going to move this bar into place. So when they do the division, they're going to get a 6 repeating. They're going to place all the numbers and then place this bar over the 6 to show that it's repeating. And then the very end of the lesson gives some vocabulary for decimals, terminating, non-terminating, and repeating. So that is a digital lesson, Fractions to Decimals with Number Chips.